Weapon, we are finally headed into a match here. Magnolia versus Monsoon. Monsoon, if you were here, we were just watching them on stream, so we are a bit familiar with what weapons they've been playing. Now we get to go ahead and take a look at what Magnolia is going to be playing on the stream.
That's very exciting. I did not expect to see bronze on the Magnolia roster, but it's always welcome in my eyes.
I agree. I feel like it's always a pleasant surprise when all of a sudden you see bronze in the lobby and you're like, wait, they're still here.
They're still here. I didn't see them once at MomoCon. I think I said that, but like they were there and I did not see bronze a singular time, which made me very sad. But at least we're making up for it now. I get to witness the one and only on that Magnolia roster, and I love this start from them. But you know, given the last set we saw, I kind of get a little bit worried. Like I had this looming feeling of death in my brain.
I know, right? With the way that Monsoon's been playing on that last set in particular, they have a lot of synergy going on. They know what positions they need to take. However, taking a look at how this is starting and continuing, Magnolia here looks like they are up for the challenge of taking on Monsoon. They're able to keep the zone. They're continuing to count down the lead. And then not only that, but they're chaining their specials here really nicely to try and put a stop to Monsoon coming into the zone.
I think that was Nico getting that double on that Prev tank there through that zip cast. What an amazing set of picks to wedge your team into the map and finally get that cap onto the zone here. Very strong positioning. It took them quite some time to get there, but now that they're here, I have a lot of Well, I did have a lot of confidence for 1 second there.
Yeah, that pick was the double pick was really crucial for them to get back into the zone. But I mean, Magnolia, hello? They're on their game today.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of splat bombs have been clutching things out in this game so far, it seems. Able to take out Shiny, then shortly after that, able to take out one of the members of Magnolia there. And finally, once again, we are starting to see the members of Monsoon getting back into the center of the map. Storm is kind of scrambling around at this snipe point, isn't really able to peek his head out for very long, just given the insane output of pressure that we're seeing coming out from Magnolia here. Bronze getting into a great position. They have that slosher there who's going to take this bottom right and just rain down even more pressure. The strikes are coming out for the members of Monsoon, but will that be able to give any sort of lasting pressure? Not really, no.
Yeah, they really kind of just had to just use their specials there and just try and just get the zone, and that was all they could really do with those strikes. Finally, though, they were able to get the zone, and then Magnolia took it back, and now, here again, Monsoon is finally in control of the zone. They are going to have no penalty points here shortly. And now, finally, it looks like they're going to be able to set up. They have those, the cooler. They're using this crab here, too, to try and push back Magnolia as much as they can. And it looks like, finally, this is actually playing out really nicely for them. They're able to take down 2 members of Magnolia. And now Magnolia, once again, is just kind of having to reset and try and figure out how to get back in the zone with very little time left.
Yeah, Nico getting taken out on this top left position here. However, did have that cooler, can come back in. They have retaken that lead, but it seems like Magnolia is sitting on a very little amount of penalty, and Bronze coming in for that pinch is going to seal that. That's going to be basically an entire team wipe as that crab tank starts getting pushed out. You always want to have those specials ready for once you actually clear out your opponents a little bit to continue applying pressure and having some sort of response for them coming back in, especially when you're dealing with these cooler teams. Storm has that crab tank at the ready, is able to take out Bronze, but not without that lead being taken from them once again. They have to be very careful and watch all angles as they try to get back into mid. Nico dealing with this bubble, but has to back out. They have 5 seconds to cap. Are they going to be able to do it?
Oh, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. They have their 2 painters there, Storm and Shiny, just trying to paint as much as they possibly can. The zone here staggered just a little bit more, but the paint coming out from Magnolia was just that much better there. They had the member advantage there at the end, and they also had that paint advantage, having those extra members on the board. Man, Monsoon, they had literally their 2 painting weapons, Shiny on the pen and then Storm on that splash. Those are the 2 main painting weapons of their team. They were trying to do everything they could to paint the zone and at least cap it, but they weren't able to do that.
I am shook that Magnolia was able to kind of pull that on them, just like paint output and stabilize well enough to deal with the insane aggressive output that Monsoon has had previously. So looking to see if that will be able to maintain itself for the remainder of the set as well, because like again, like what we saw in the last set from them was like unmatched in my eyes. And hopefully this tower
Agreed.
control game goes on for longer than like 30 seconds, because it is Hagglefish at the end of the day. It can be a little bit of a doozy, but it
Yeah.
seems like Magnolia is ready to take on the challenge.
Yeah, they really are. I'm very curious too, seeing how like back and forth and almost kind of more so dominant for Magnolia that match was. I'm wondering if these two teams have previously scrimmed each other. Looking like I have a feeling they have probably, but so they must know. Okay, we already know what Monsoon is bringing to the board and what we need to do.
Yeah, I think that could be the case. Or alternatively, it's possible they finished their last sets pretty soon and they had just kind of turned on the IPL stream and was watching and taking notes during the last set there. That's also a very realistic possibility because, you know, like we said before the previous set started, like that Robo Ramen splat zones reveals your entire strategy more or less, and I think if they caught kind of a whiff of that, they had an idea of what to anticipate going into this one.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. They knew exactly how Monsoon was utilizing playing around their pencil player and utilizing their specials in particular to play aggressive around that. So it definitely looks like they figured it out here. And as we head into game 2, this is going to be tower control this time. Taking a look at these comps, I really don't see any switch ups here as I'm taking a look. It looks like everyone's really sticking with the same thing.
Yeah, the only notable change I think I see is just Nico switching to the different kit for the sword. I always forget the real name for it. My bad.
Me too.
But that's
Me too.
yeah. It's a better version of it for tower control. It does have that booyah bomb, so you can just kind of clear off the tower whenever you need to, and it has a very strong paint output as well. So it should allow players like Shiny to take a break from painting the map a bit and maybe play this a little bit more aggressively. Just go purely for picks and not so much for that paint and that cooler output. Just have some time to relax and do that fun stuff.
Yeah, having that paint is really going to help enable those aggressive players to be able to move around more freely. Now, as Monsoon was able to get past that first checkpoint, they did have 3 members go down. Storm was the last member left alive. They tried to back up to maybe get some jumps for their teammate, maybe hold some space, but they were called out. But now, I mean, even though essentially Monsoon is having to regroup and kind of start from the beginning here, it looks like they're right back in the action, right back in mid and poking at the tower like nothing happened.
Yeah, I like the way that Miner has been playing, just slowing down a little bit, allowing their teammates to get in before they start taking on these fights. They have that lead, so they can play this a little bit slower than Magnolia is forced to right now. Seems like they're actually able to get a couple picks onto the board. Brave hopping onto that tower with that crab tank is pointing that laser right at Shiny, who is able to kind of dance around it and stay alive for a lot longer than I would have expected on this very vulnerable tarp, but able to stay alive nonetheless. Looks like that lead is getting questioned right now. It's just going to be Shiny and that splatter shot left to defend the tower, and with Shiny going out, that is going to be a very clean way to get that lead and might even burn through this checkpoint too.
Yeah, you can see Bronze there is just trying to do everything they can to juggle the tower. That was a really smart move. Just, okay, even though there's a Zuka at me, I'm just going to hide behind this tower middle pole and just try and stay alive, and that was a good move because they were able to get through that checkpoint. They back up. They use their cooler to hopefully get some cooler out for their teammates. And now Monsoon here, they're coming in really aggressively. They immediately rushed through mid, and it looks like that really aggressive playstyle is kind of getting countered nicely by Magnolia. Magnolia is just kind of sitting back and poking at them, and they were able to take down 2 members of Monsoon.
Yeah, I like how Dripsy has been playing around these ledges and walls, is able to challenge a lot of these players of Monsoon without getting targeted the exact same way that they have been. So looking like we're sitting on a couple specials here. Don't really need to pop them just yet, but that's going to allow us to wedge our way in. But wait, 2 members on the side of Magnolia going down in the the blink of an eye there. That is going to allow these members of Monsoon to get back into mid. Shiny does spot somebody on that bottom right flank. There is going to have to disregard that for the time being. Pop that cooler, worry about that bubble in front of them, and just focus on the future, trying to get in the tower path and make sure that's clear for, like, as long as they need it to be. There's not really that much of a difference between both of these teams' leads right now, and they have to laser down and focus on that for the next couple minutes here.
Yeah, it's really kind of like a poking back and forth game. Each one team and the other. Oh, okay, 3 members down of Magnolia. Brave here flanks around the tower, tries to get this pick onto Shiny, but Shiny luckily able to turn around really quick and get that pick. But yeah, a lot of just poking back and forth of each team here trying to get the upper hand initially. And as this is happening, it looks like finally Monsoon here, this might be the moment for them to try and get the lead. They are very, very close to getting the lead swap.
Yeah, we see Storm trying to defend on this top right, though TM4 star able to make their way. I'm so sorry. Able to make their way through the shots from Storm and run towards that tower. Though Nico taking out 2, tries to make it 3, but ultimately going to be a trade coming out from Brave here. We have a 3-point margin for both of these teams there. Shiny able to narrowly avoid those splat bombs that have been giving them so much trouble in this game so far. Storm has to ride that tower for a little bit themselves. 30 seconds to go. They're just trying to float this tower here until they have enough pressure to break that barrier.
Yeah, they're just trying to hold this area as much as they possibly can. As we've seen multiple jump-ins come out from Monsoon. They're really trying to do everything they can to hold the zone. Strikes zone the tower. Strikes come out. That is going to put another stop to the momentum coming out from Monsoon. Nico here uses this Booyah Bomb. That Booyah Bomb actually was good because that helped enable a safe jump for their teammate. Now, are they going to be able to clear that space in front of the tower in order to push it to get the lead as we are about to head into overtime?
Oh my gosh. 2 people down. Storm hanging out by that tower, watching this top right. Can't quite clear that slosher. It's just going to be the junior left onto the side of Magnolia. 2 members on top. 29, 28. That's going to be it. What a nerve wracker.
Oh my gosh, yes. It seemed like constantly Magnolia was just right there at the end. They just kind of kept sitting back, throwing bombs, and not really engaging the tower too much, and that kind of enabled space for Monsoon to be able to keep jumping back and pushing the tower because Magnolia was kind of playing it safe there. And then finally Monsoon was able to just keep getting jump-ins, and there at the end finally got it there, literally in overtime.
That is crazy. I almost lost. You could hear me gasping, I think, every 5 seconds because, like, 2 people on one side would go down, 2 people on the other side would go down, and there's just jump-ins and jump-ins and jump-ins, and then specials getting thrown at the tower, and Booyah Bomb comes out from Nico. Booyah Bomb comes out from the side of Magnolia, tossed at the tower. Like, I just could not focus on one specific part of the end of that game there.
I know. That almost was like another one of those things I was talking about where Splatoon 3 plays so much faster than Splatoon 2. So like when you're trying to digest what just happened as a commentator, all of a sudden something else is happening and then something else. And then it's just like, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to try and analyze all this so fast because it was just constant back and forth there happening.
And once again, we're back in the building. It's Barnacle Zones. Once again, you know, I'm sure this is some sort of, like, not maybe an oopsie, but, like, perhaps a little bit, just having that one in particular roll in. How many Splat Zones maps are in this tournament? Surely more than 3. I feel like I've seen only 3.
Just the same 3. Mahi, Barnacle
Robo.
Robo. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
I remember I was doing my makeup and I had Fusion and Kion on in the background, and I'm like, I just hear the word Barnacle Zones. Barnacle Zones, that one's difficult. Like, I'm like, huh. Guess we'll be seeing some Barnacle Zones in this tournament. Sure enough, we did.
We surely have. That's for sure. Actually, I'm curious because we've seen Monsoon already play Barnacle Zones, and now that they're going to be up against Magnolia here, Magnolia obviously putting in work against Monsoon, acting as a real challenger for them. So I'm very curious how this is going to go differently now that it's Magnolia versus that last set we were watching.
Yeah, we'll see how they're able to take this challenge on, because this was another one that we saw just an absolute barrage coming out from Monsoon of pressure and being able to hold these spots very well. I see the switch from bronze onto the pencil. I respect it. The cooler is going to be coming out right away. They have a lot of paint output on this side. I don't think they even really need to take fights. I think they can just kind of sit in mid and paint over everything, and there's not really much that Monsoon's going to be able to do unless they just outkill flat out.
Yeah, you're totally right. They can just sit back, throw the bomb that they have, just keep paint on the board, and that's going to make it difficult for Monsoon to make something happen, which I kind of feel like we saw little bits and pieces of that previously from Magnolia. But like you said, especially with this comp that they're running here, so much paint from that junior, that splash, and that pencil. Now, initially here, as we're headed through the first minute of this match, it's finally going to be Monsoon taking the zone, taking down members of the other team. And oh my gosh, Shiny here, just pushing forward with this pencil, enabling their teammates, staying back. This is exactly how you want to play the pencil, support your teammates, keep painting at their feet, and do just that.
Yeah, I really liked how aggressive Shiny took that spot there, and you kind of have to be able to assess that when you're in this situation here, because like I said, like they have such good paint output on the side of Magnolia right now that they don't really need to engage that hard, so like Monsoon is going to have to make up for that in just pure engagement. And you could see before, even when they had man advantage, it was very difficult for them to even cap the zone. Like we're seeing it in situations like here, like there's quite a bit of delay before they're able to cap, even when they take like 1 or 2 people down. Storm taken out by pure teamwork there. That's going to force Nico and Miner to take this fight themselves, but Brave just getting flicked in the forehead by one little shot, taking them out. And that kind of leaves them in a bit of a rough position here, because with these paint comps, the harder thing for them to do is get back in, because they do just have to win a single fight to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. And you're a more paint-heavy team versus a team that plays more aggressively. You can have the upper hand if you're the painting team, but when that aggressive team is in a position where they get the upper hand, it does make it difficult to get back in the zone. Finally, though, with some strikes paired out with some paint coming out from Magnolia, they're able to come in and at least cap the zone. Bronze here pushes up with this pencil too and is going to act as a squid beacon themselves as they get some jump-ins from their teammates, and now they're just really kind of waiting to get some specials. Here's that position again where these teams are kind of equally matched, kind of poking at each other, trying to wait who can get their specials first to make an aggressive push past the zone.
Yep, Brave going to be popping that crab, kind of working as a meat shield there on the zone, is able to avoid these ink strikes a little bit, and they hold that zone. Once again, bubbles coming out, the cooler's coming out right beside, that makes that very convenient to pick that up there. Bronze, you saw trying to get to a good spot, but Shiny spotting them out at a good time. 2 members down on the side of Magnolia once again, but still holding on to that zone. Finally a clear out here, but Brave trying to get in from the opposite direction is spotted by basically a sprinkler, and that leaves Miner in a spot to run up, try and get these picks, is going to do-si-do around this pole, and finally we're back in a great spot to just hold the base down.
They really are in a great position. And I love too how they keep having Shiny positioned on that top left area and just poking at anyone who's trying to come in from that upper left area of the map. Now, finally, Monsoon is being pushed back as Magnolia does have their specials at the ready. They use that crab, they use those strikes, and they do use the cooler as well. So are they going to be able to finally push in and get the zone? They are able to, taking down Miner along with that. Now they're going to, kind of poke at Monsoon, try and play aggressively. But, I mean, with the way that Monsoon plays aggressively, you really have to just play that carefully, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, just look at these spots that they're taking now. I don't know how I feel about them kind of standing on top of a zone when you're playing against a team like this, where they're going to dive for that spot exactly. But, it held them long enough. Well, I guess not really, because they don't have the lead now, but Nico is going to be running in, has that cooler from Shiny there. It seems like they know that Junior is still hiding, but that doesn't stop the fact that they can still take both of the remaining members out. And this could very realistically go into an overtime where we see Magnolia just win the game off of pure paint output alone, just because they're not going to be able to recap in time. It's just going to be a matter of, okay, can we get a pick in the next 5 seconds here, and is that going to be enough to counter the zone's paint?
Yeah, you can see right now specials coming out from both sides. Bronze here just trying to do everything they possibly can to keep painting up the zone. There comes the strikes as well coming out from Magnolia, and they are able to keep the zone painted. Monsoon not quite able to come into the zone and paint the zone for themselves. So a really, really nice lead swap there from Magnolia at the end.
I am a little shooked. Like, I know that's kind of what I was expecting to happen, but at the same time, like, all they really needed in that position was just one pick, and they got it. Like, they can just hold the zone and try and stay alive. And you saw those zone painting specials coming out, but it just doesn't matter when you're dealing with a Splash-O-Matic, when you're dealing with a Junior, when you're dealing with a Pencil. They can just use their main weapon. They don't need any fancy thing to charge up and build to, you know, counter that. They can just do it. That's what I love about Junior.
Junior, shout out Junior. You could just sit back, throw bombs, paint the zone, bubble if you need to. Yeah, and that especially there. If you're a Junior there right at the end, if you just sit back and keep painting the zone and then just keep throwing bombs at the angles where you know the other team is going to come in, I mean,
it's enough
that
time
works
to
out
buy,
so well. Yeah, totally.
So, okay, this could be match point here. We have Clamblitz on Macomar, which I'm a, or is it? On the graphic it says Scorch Gorge. Did we pick the wrong one? Scorch is correct. Okay, so we're gonna have to go into this and we're gonna have to restart. So yeah, I guess we have a little bit of extra time to talk because I don't think the members of Monsoon have realized that we have the wrong map yet, but
Or they're sitting here like, wait, this isn't the right map.
Yeah, I my spidey senses were tingling right away there, so I've kind of noticed it. I was excited there. I thought we were gonna get to see Macomar, because I do like it on clams. I do quite like it.
I do too, and I feel like we don't get to see it a lot in Splatoon 3 in particular. I haven't really seen it played a lot in comp. But I like it.
Me too. Me too. You know, handshake to that. Maybe it's a Junior thing, but I like it a lot.
Probably.
So this is a lie that we're seeing right now. So they're gonna restart this pretty soon.
So pretend we are not watching this. I mean, you are, but pretend we're not.
Whoa, crazy! Oh my gosh, team wipeout. All right. Well, okay. Now we can scroll and wait for Scorch Gorge, and hopefully, maybe the members of Monsoon were picking their weapons based on that instead, perhaps, and then we can just all press A and get this started real quick.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see.
No.
Nope.
No.
We're watching. We can see the teams on our screens here, and we were like, "Are they gonna press A?" Nope. Only 2 people.
Yeah. Basically, no one is. No one is ready, except for the people who play one weapon.
The Junior and the Pencil.
Yeah. So, I mean, water is wet, I suppose. No surprises here from, I think, anyone.
Oh, wait a minute. Speaking of Junior, look at this 3D printed Junior that I have.
Wait.
Do you have yours? Yes! Let's go! Thank you. Shout out to Fusion for, I think it was Fusion, right? Yeah.
I think it was Fusion who made us this. Yeah. Fusion also, hold on. I think I have one more Fusion goodie. I have the Rapid Blaster. It's way smaller though. Like, look at it compared to this one here.
Huh. Yeah. Oh, that's cute too.
I like it. Pew pew.
That's so cool. Shout out Fusion.
Yeah, shout out Fusion from the earlier comm blocks today with the very cute cats on stream. Did you see their cats?
Yes, I did.
Mochi and Maki cuddling.
They're so cute.
It's so funny because if you're like in a call with Fusion outside of this, they're like, "Stop it! I'm gonna get you!" Like to their cats, like when they're misbehaving, but then they're just like acting like angels today.
Yeah, the cats are like, "What are you talking about? We're so well behaved."
Oh, there's a camera here. Haha. I'm just gonna sit here.
Okay, we are finally headed into game 4, I believe, right?
Yes, game 4. This would it could possibly be Magnolia taking the set here, but if Monsoon clutches it out, we're going to be looking at a game 5.
Okay. And I actually am looking at some major weapon switch-ups here coming out from the side of Monsoon. Shiny switching over to not from the pencil anymore, and then actually a 52 gal coming out from Nico instead of that sword that they were playing.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. I guess that makes sense. If you're trying to stay a little bit more mobile on not zones, on clams. I like Storm here, kind of just running ahead. We don't really have a power clam ready, so I can see the mindset behind not running right to the basket at the very start of the game there. But now it seems like we're basically ready. Shiny has that power clam. We're going to toss that in and get quite the lead at the beginning of this game here. 71, not too shabby, not perfect. Can be easily cheesed in a counter push, but it is a push nonetheless.
Yeah, at least it's, they got a few in a few extra clams besides that 80-point marker, so I think that's definitely a good start, like you said, Siren. And now the tides are turning here, possibly, as now Magnolia is taking mid. They're painting all that pink ink on the ground, and they are trying to get a push in, but Dritzy there was called out. And you see there's that junior kind of moving around, runs up, is using that bubble to act as a shield and create space for their teammates. And they are just trying to play that really aggressively and do as much as they can to hold space, but they were called out. So Magnolia here, they did have the momentum there to try and make something happen, but the defense coming out from Monsoon was very good. They put a stop to that.
I love doing that kind of positioning as a junior. You just cause as much havoc as possible, force people to pay attention to you, and it's kind of forced Magnolia to play a certain way and deal with this. That cooler placement from Shiny is so dank, but we use it anyway. We try and get that flank in, but looks like Magnolia finally getting in here and getting a push of their own. Nothing's really gonna stop them here. TM running in behind, has some more power clams to push into that basket with, has a bubble at the ready, but it seems like we are just going to sacrifice the remainder of that push and kind of keep our chips to ourselves and save them for later in the game, which is pretty smart. You don't really want to kamikaze this too hard. Just play it slow. You have another game for wiggle room if things go wrong.
Yeah, definitely good recognition, because they recognized that Monsoon was doing a better job at taking mid there initially, so they kind of just recognized, okay, let's stop just rushing into this and back up to get ready to play defense, as we can see that Monsoon is starting to take mid before we can. So they do that. They still, actually on Magnolia's side, do have 2 specials too at the ready, so it looks like they're maybe waiting for possibly the cooler, something, in order to use those specials before they push up.
Yeah, I mean, you see how slow this is kind of happening here. You have to play this a bit carefully. 2 members going down. They're going to try and find that edit from... What just happened? Everyone is dead except for Storm. They had a man advantage, but everyone just exploded there. It does not look like Magnolia is letting up or willing to take on any sort of push from the side of Monsoon. However, Storm holding his own very, very well here in mid. Does have a power clam, is going to be kind of target number 1 here. We want to get this guy out of the way as soon as possible, and now it's just going to be Shiny, who was taking that off angle, and now has to take a different angle of their own, get on the snipe here, prepare themselves for Brave running in under this basket. Is not going to be able to stop it, but looks like we're not really pushing past penalty very much.
Yeah, they were able to open up the basket and not quite able to push up and get more, as Shiny was setting up there for defense. And I like that even though the basket opened, they at least were just kind of getting in a position to hold ground for their teammates to come back. And together, once their teammates were back, they were able to put a stop to that push. So as we head into towards the ending of this match, actually, it's going to be up to Monsoon here to make something happen if they want to get the lead and stay in the set.
I'm starting to think that Storm might need some object shredder of some kind. I feel like there's been a couple times this game we just watch him stand inside of a bubble trying to shoot the core of it for a while, and I think it's wasting some valuable time that could be used to just let Storm run in and take some of these picks out. Dripsy is just playing this up ahead. It doesn't look like we have much of a power clam ready to go, but we do have all the other resources that we would want for a push, and we're kind of forcing the members of Monsoon here to use some of their specials just to back them out of their spawn and give them an opportunity to get that overtime lead. So TM running into their spawn almost has a power clam, is going to run after the one guy holding the power clam onto the side of Monsoon. Dripsy almost making it to the basket, but they need to use their time valuable here. They have run through half of the overtime counter here. Shiny going to be jumping in. Are we going to be able to make it to the basket? We're not quite there, and those splat bombs, that is going to end it for them.
Oh my gosh, I saw the vision. They set themselves up there perfectly. They created the space for their team there to get in and open up the basket. But there goes those splat bombs from the junior. I have a feeling, you know, able to just put a stop to that momentum right away. You see a jump in, you just throw in a bomb, and that's it.
You ever just like think about something so much that it shows up in your nightmares? I think that's what's gonna happen with Shiny, unfortunately, later. Like, I hate to say it, love you, Shiny, but that has been the bane of your existence, like, the entire set. I think a lot of the times when we pan over to Shiny, just because they're playing these weapons that, like, they take good positions, but they have a hard time painting their own feet at times, that Shiny has been, like, struggling to get away from these splat bombs that just have, like, the craziest range. I imagine there's some sub power up going on here because, like, you know when you're a junior and you play it so much and you have some sub power up and you switch to like Salmon Run or you play something else and then you're like, why are my bombs only going like 3 feet in front of my face? Like why is the range so short? I'm so used to chucking them across the map like a crazy person.
You're almost like you're used to just using those splat bombs sometimes as your main weapon in a way. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It's like my arms got weaker or something. Like why are my bombs not long?
Whew, okay, that was a really fun set to watch. It was so interesting seeing how we initially were watching Monsoon play. They seemed so strong when we first were watching them to commentate against a different opponent, and then now all of a sudden Magnolia just shows up and they were ready to scrap with them. That was a really good set to watch.
Yeah, I loved that. And it was interesting to see them get kind of dethroned in a way. I believe the way that they sort of handle redemption is like based on the pool they come from. They'll play like a slightly higher seed. So I think that was technically an upset on paper since Monsoon was kind of the winning team out of both them and What's Quackin', right? So props to them. They did their homework on this one. Seems like the next set we're going to be looking at, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be a Honkai versus Jasmine fan club.
Ooh, okay. Don't mind Siren and I here, just taking a look at the bracket here on our second screen. Okay. I'm just taking a look at the rosters here. So Honkai is Kabai, Taro, Ibi Wumi, Nilla, and Kaden. And then Jasmine Fan Club here, as we can see on the stream, Enamel, Jasmine, J Blast, Antares, and Seb.
I'm gonna be so honest with you, and maybe I'm out of touch, but I am not familiar with these teams at all. Or sorry, so I'm familiar with Honkai. I meant Jasmine Fan Club. Who are you? I'm gonna look at like who